Hello knowledge seekers. Welcome to another video. Today I am going to talk about how to build a regulatory strategy for herbal medicines and nutraceuticals. Now you might wonder why this topic? There are two reasons for choosing this topic. First reason is India has a long and rich tradition of herbal medicines. There are many systems of medicines prevailing in India based on herbal products. The second reason is I see a huge amount of research happening on herbal products in India, but comparatively, I see very few products in the market based on that research. That made me think, is it because researchers are not fully aware of the regulatory pathways to bring herbal products to market? Or is it because regulatory and development guidelines are not considered in research early on, leading to non compliant products? In either case, one thing becomes certain that knowledge of regulatory guidelines in developing herbal products is critical. This is exactly what we are going to explore in this video today. Those of you who have watched my earlier videos know that I always start by clarifying who will benefit most from the discussion. For this video, if you are a fresher planning to build a career in regulatory affairs or R&D within the herbal manufacturing industry, this content is especially for you. This video will also be useful for researchers developing herbal medicinal products who intend to commercialize their research. And finally, if you already have herbal products in unregulated or semi regulated markets and looking to expand into regulated markets, then this video is definitely for you. Overall, we will be learning how to build regulatory strategy for herbal medicinal products in this video. And to understand the process, we first need to understand the general regulatory mindset about herbal medicines, what sort of faith they have in the already available products, and how much data they expect for granting approvals to new products. Then we shall see what are the available regulatory pathways for these products in the major markets. For this video, I have chosen US, Europe, and India as the markets. The USA and Europe are chosen as they are among the most developed agencies, and if a product is approved in these countries, then the same reference can be used for approval in many other markets. India is considered because this is our home country and it has a different set of regulations for controlling these products. After the discussion on these regulations, I'll be taking few examples to understand the regulatory guidelines better. So let's begin by understanding the general regulatory mindset towards herbal products. Regulatory agencies across the world typically classify herbal products into two broad categories: dietary or food supplements, and medicines. Initially, I wondered why herbal products are often treated as food supplements. The answer becomes clearer when we look at their history. Many herbs and herbal preparations have been used by humans for centuries, and several of them have traditionally been part of our diet. Different cultures have consumed different herbs as foods, and we often associate our state of health closely with what we eat. From this perspective, using such herbal products to supplement the diet is reasonable. However, regulators face a delicate balance here. On one hand, they cannot completely dismiss the potential health benefits of herbs simply because modern scientific data are limited. On the other hand, they also cannot grant these products the status of medicines without adequate evidence. As a result, when no robust evidence for disease treatment is available, regulatory agencies commonly classify herbal products as dietary or food supplements. Remember, in this category, regulations are generally less stringent in terms of data requirements and pre approval, but much stricter when it comes to claims. The primary concern for regulators is that these products should not be promoted or relied upon as primary treatments for diseases in the absence of solid evidence. This regulatory pathway is broadly consistent across most regions worldwide for food supplements. Another and often more strategically valuable option is to obtain medicinal product status for herbal products. This is possible when adequate evidence of safety and efficacy is generated. However, the regulatory pathways to achieve this status differ across regions, and understanding these differences is critical for effective product development and market entry planning. We shall first discuss the regulations of United States. Of the total export from India, one-fourth of herbal medicines are exported to United States. United States is a very big and growing market for the herbal medicines. Therefore, understanding the regulations will open the doors to a very lucrative market. The United States Regulatory Agency, that is US FDA, as discussed during the previous slide, classifies herbal products either as dietary supplements or as botanical drug. The different divisions of the FDA regulates these two classes. The dietary supplements are regulated through Dietary Supplement and Health Education Act, while the botanical drugs are regulated through CDER division of FDA. Let's see the regulatory requirements for both of these classes. First, for dietary supplement class. Now the question is, what qualifies a product as a dietary supplement? There are few eligibility criteria for such products. First, the product should contain a herb, botanical, extract, or a phytoconstituent. Second, it must be intended to supplement the diet and should be administered by the oral route. And last, accordingly, it should be presented in conventional oral dosage forms such as tablets, capsules, soft gels, powders, or liquids. This is what is mentioned in the Act, but new dosage forms for oral administration are also accepted. Having checked the eligibility of your product as dietary supplement, now you are interested in knowing the major regulatory characteristics of this pathway. Here, no pre-market approval is required for the ingredients that already qualify under the dietary supplement definition. However, if the product contains a novel dietary ingredient, a 75-day pre-market notification must be submitted to the FDA before marketing. From a manufacturing perspective, the product must comply with current good manufacturing practices as specified under 21 CFR Part 111. You do need to check the composition of your products as well, because only permitted excipients may be used and they must be within acceptable limits. Labeling is a critical component here. The product must carry a supplement fact label. Supplement fact label indicate what dietary requirements this product intend to supplement in terms of major and micronutrients. And although disease claims are not permitted, but still, if you want to make any structure or function related claim, it must be notified to the FDA within 30 days of first marketing. Together, these elements define the regulatory characteristics of the US dietary supplement pathway and form the basis for compliance and successful market entry. Now, suppose you are still unsure whether your product truly complies with the FDA's definition of dietary ingredient or not. In such case, you can refer to the Dietary Supplement Label database, which provides useful insight into how similar products and ingredients are positioned in the US market. This database has labels of dietary supplements that are sold in the US, so you can check if your product qualifies as dietary supplement in this database or not. If your product does not appear here, that means it is a novel ingredient, and then you need to notify FDA 75 days before marketing. This will be categorized as new dietary ingredient or NDI. As per FDA, if an ingredient was not marketed in the US before October 15, 1994, then it is a NDI. I would like to spend some time on the claim related regulations in US, as there are strict regulations regarding what a label can carry as the claim. This point should always be kept in the mind that we can make claims only related to the general health benefits and not about the treatment of diseases. And even the general health benefit related claims are also presented with a disclaimer. Okay, no disease related claims can be made on the label. For example, we can write that it supports joint health but can't say that it treats arthritis. And even for the claim supports joint health, a disclaimer should be prominently mentioned like this statement has not been evaluated by FDA, this product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Here you will agree with me that with such disclaimer mentioned on the label, a product can't gain trust of the patient. If you think you have a product and you have got good data for its efficacy and safety, in other words, if your product indeed is research based, then you would like to make proper therapeutic claims for it. Then getting it approved as a medicinal product under botanical drug classification is the right pathway. So, what is this pathway? Under this pathway, all the products that are derived from plants, algae, fungi, or their combinations are covered. Products of animal origin are not permitted under this pathway. In addition, single ingredient products are also not allowed, as this route is intended for complex herbal preparations. The advantage of this pathway is that it can be used for any route of administration, unlike dietary supplement pathway where only oral route was allowed. And it can be in any dosage form as well. Here, proper therapeutic claims in the form of indications can be made, and these products can belong to either OTC or prescription segment. The very good thing of the US FDA is that they have issued a specific guidance for the development of herbal products, recognizing that they cannot be evaluated in the same way as synthetic drugs. Accordingly, regulators have taken into account the multi component nature of herbal product, the limitations in developing comprehensive analytical method, and the incomplete understanding of the exact active constituent responsible for the activity. Product evaluation is therefore conducted with these scientific and regulatory considerations in mind. This pathway is very useful for the research based products. To know more about this pathway, you can refer these guidelines. I very well know that I can't get away by talking only about the advantages of this pathway. It has its limitations too. The major limitation of this pathway is the very high cost of development and long timelines. As a result, this route is typically chosen only when the objective is to position a product clearly within the therapeutic segment. So far, only a very limited number of products have been approved through this pathway. One example is Veragen ointment, which contains green tea extract and is indicated for the treatment of genital and perianal warts. Another example is Fulizac, which contains an extract of the Croton lechleri tree and is approved for the treatment of non-infectious diarrhea in HIV patients. With this discussion, an important regulatory principle becomes clear. The stronger the claim, the heavier the regulatory pathway. This principle will become even more evident as we move forward to discuss the regulatory pathways available in the European Union for herbal products. Before we begin discussing the available regulatory pathways in the European Union, let's recall that European Union is a union of 27 member states, and there is a centralized agency, the European Medicine Agency EMA, which formulates policies regarding the approval of various medicinal products and these are followed by all member states. The regulatory stand for herbal products in European countries is similar to USA in the sense that these products are treated either as food supplements or as medicines. However, there is a very high regard for herbal products in Europe. Therefore, there are three different pathways for the approval of these products as medicines: traditional herbal medicine pathway, well established use, and full market authorization. Let's discuss all of them one by one. The food supplement pathway is governed by EU Food Supplement Directive and General Safety legislation, while the standards and procedures for the medicinal pathways are the responsibility of Committee on Herbal Medicinal Products (HMPC). Out of the total four pathways available for the approval of herbal products, let's see the most easy pathway first: the food supplement pathway. This pathway of Europe is similar to the dietary supplement pathway of US FDA in many respects. The eligibility criteria for a product to qualify as dietary supplement are comparable to those prescribed by US FDA. It should supplement the normal diet and provide with a nutritional or physiological effect. Herbs, botanicals used as ingredients must be safe for consumption and have permitted uses under EU food law. They should be presented in dosage forms like pills, tablets, capsules, liquids in measured doses. So, while we see that the eligibility criteria are similar to USFDA pathway, but the regulatory characteristics are very different. The herbal products in the European Union are treated differently from other medicinal products. While a centralized approval pathway is available for most conventional medicines, no such option exists for herbal products. Herbal products are regulated by the national authorities of individual EU member states. The European Commission prepares the framework of regulations for food supplements, and national competent authorities handle registrations, and they may have additional requirements or processes. So the approvals must be obtained at the national level. However, if a herbal product is approved in one member state, it can later be approved in other member states using the mutual recognition procedure. In addition, these national authorities might have additional requirements which should be observed. All excipients, which are called as food additives, they should be used in permitted quantities as allowed. When regulated as food supplements, herbal products cannot make claims related to disease prevention or health improvement. In addition, manufacturer must follow good manufacturing practices applicable to food products. Overall, these regulatory requirements are largely comparable to the dietary supplement pathway of the US FDA, with the key difference being that individual EU member states may impose additional requirements which can slightly complicate marketing decisions. I am giving links for the guidelines that will be helpful for verifying the compliance of your product as food supplement as per EU requirements. You may refer these links. As said earlier, although there are harmonized guidelines that determine which products at what doses can be categorized as food products, one still has to check the regulations of individual member states before placing the product in the market. These member states may have different rules and procedures for the same. You can see that different member states have different rules regarding pre-market approval. Italy, Spain, the Netherlands, Denmark, Poland, the Czech Republic, and Portugal, they require pre-market notification but not formal approval before a food supplement can be placed on the market. In some countries like France, Belgium, Denmark, and Germany, explicit pre authorization is required when an ingredient is novel, restricted, or used at a level exceeding national limits. In contrast, Germany and Ireland they follow an approach more similar to that of US FDA, where no pre-market approval is required and the manufacturer bears full responsibility for product safety, compliance, and claims. UK also has the similar procedure, although it is not the part of EU anymore. That means the solution situation gets slightly complicated as one has to follow the individual national requirements while also considering EMA guidelines. Therefore, while planning a regulatory strategy for food supplement category of products in European member states, a detailed business analysis is required, and only countries offering high business potential should be selected for market. As discussed before, there are three pathways available for registering herbal products as medicines. First, we shall see traditional herbal medicinal product pathway THMP. Under this pathway, the products which are in use for at least 30 years worldwide, including a minimum periods of 15 years within Europe, are eligible for approval. Unlike the food supplement pathway, there are no restrictions of route of administration and dosage form for the products marketed through these pathways. You will remember that in the food supplement pathway, product can be administered only through oral route and that too in the specified dosage forms. So the another feature of this pathway is that the product must be suitable for self-medication without medical supervision. Therefore, the indications which are approved under this pathway are limited to minor or mild conditions. The data requirement under this pathway are very simple. Clinical trial data is not required. Instead, both safety and efficacy are inferred from the published literature and existing evidence of traditional use. However, as with other medicinal products, a regulatory dossier is required, including quality related data. The label requirement is that it must mention a statement related to the traditional use of the product so that people can understand what is the basis of approval of this product. In some cases, the regulatory frameworks for food supplements and traditional herbal medicinal products overlap, which can result in the same herbal substance being regulated as a medicine in one country and as a food product in another. For example, ginger root is indicated for motion sickness and GI discomfort based on the traditional use. However, in some member states, it is sold as a food supplement. Overall, the advantage of this pathway is that those products which are widely accepted for certain therapeutic effects can be easily marketed using this simplified registration process without requiring too much data. Second way to get approval for herbal products as medicines is well established use pathway, which is actually meant for those products for which a large body of data is available for safety and efficacy. This is similar to traditional use pathway in the sense that published literature is used for establishing the efficacy and safety of the product. The difference is that the published data should be about the clinical studies. In the THMP pathway, the available data and practice both are used as basis, while in well-established use pathway, published literature about clinical studies is considered for granting the authorization. There are no specific requirements regarding the duration of use. As long as high quality published data demonstrating safety and efficacy are available, a product may be granted well established use status. Compared to the traditional use pathway for herbal products, the well established use pathway requires a much larger volume of published data, as this approval is entirely based on the already published clinical studies. Because it is based on published clinical studies, all kind of indications are allowed which are clearly supported by the published evidence. This pathway is not only used for herbal products alone, but is also used for the approval of other similar products that meet the criteria for this category. Notably, many products containing cholecalciferol are approved through this pathway. Before we move on to the next category, we'll compare these two categories first. The primary focus of traditional use pathway is to permit the medicines with folk use in the market. while the primary focus of well-established use pathway is to approve those products that have clear evidence of clinical use in published literature. The aim of THMP pathway is to simplify the approval procedure of herbal products with long history of safe use. And the aim of well-established use pathway is to allow approval of herbal products supported with sufficient scientific literature showing well-established use. You will note that the regulatory basis for both these pathways are also different. These tables enlist the products and their indications that are approved using these pathways. We'll note that the traditional use pathway is faster and less data intensive, but restricts indications and claims. Only those products which patient can safely use himself without the medical supervision are allowed by the THMP route, while the products approved through well-established use may be prescribed by doctor. So, to summarize, well-established use products compete closer to pharmaceuticals, while THMPs compete in the OTC herbal space. The last pathway that can be used for the approval of herbal products is full marketing authorization, which can be obtained in accordance with Directive 2001/83 EC. If we compare this pathway with the US FDA's botanical drug pathway, the botanical drug pathway is specifically designed for products of herbal origin. In contrast, here there is no specific clarity regarding the special considerations that may be given to such products. Therefore, it becomes a relatively complicated pathway considering the presence of multiple phytoconstituents, limited knowledge about the exact active constituents, and the difficulty in developing appropriate analytical methods. Hence, the decision to proceed through this route will depend on these factors. Lastly, we should always remember that, irrespective of the pathway chosen or the extent of data available for a herbal product, approval will still be granted through national, decentralized, or mutual recognition procedures rather than through a centralized pathway. There is a lot more that can be discussed regarding the regulations for herbal products in Europe, but we will keep that for some other video and move on to the next country that I have chosen for today's discussion, India. In India, the classification of herbal products is based upon the category of the products. Like rest of the markets, these products may be classified as number 1 dietary supplement, number 2 Ayurvedic proprietary medicine or Ayush products, and like botanical drug pathway of US FDA, India also has provision for the approval of herbal medicines through phytopharmaceuticals. But you see no image of the representative product for this class, as no product has been approved through this route till date. What are the salient features of all these pathways? Let's discuss one by one. In India, all the food products are regulated by Food Safety and Standard Authority, that is FSSAI, and as per their definition, only the approved herbal extracts or phytoingredients are allowed to be marketed as food supplements. You will notice many similarities here with the similar pathways of US and Europe. Being food supplement, no route other than oral is permitted, and therefore oral dosage forms containing permitted additives in the permitted quantities are allowed. The FSSAI also has regulations related to claims. Disease claims are prohibited, only non-therapeutic claims are allowed. But unlike USA, here the pre-approvals are mandatory. Without the pre-approval, a product can't be marketed. And post-market documentation like stability study data and maintaining manufacturing records and complaint record is mandatory. The list of important acts that govern the food products is given for your perusal. You need to refer these important acts and guideline documents while you are developing food supplement product for Indian market. To allow the herbal products based on ancient knowledge, India offers a pathway popularly known as Ayurvedic Proprietary Medicine or Ayush. India even has a separate ministry that look after these products. Ayush stands for the different knowledge systems that exist in India, like Ayurvedic, Siddha, Unani, and homeopathic. So the question is, what kind of products qualify as an Ayush products? If its composition is mentioned in the classical text of any of the Ayurvedic, Siddha, Unani, and homeopathic systems, then it can be categorized as Ayush product. Even if the ingredients of your product are based on the established Ayush practice, then also they can be approved under the same category even when they are not described in the classical books. All such products are labeled as proprietary Ayurvedic medicine. Regarding the regulatory characteristics, these products need pre-approval too. The approval can be obtained from Ministry of Ayush or CDSCO, the Indian regulatory body. The required documents include Form 42 and 44 for permission, product details and formulation along with stability and safety data. Clinical trials are not mandatory but may be required in case of novel ingredients. This pathway is very commonly used by the Indian companies for marketing of their products. But if your product is novel, you still can find ways to get your product approved under this pathway. The third available pathway for herbal products in India is phytopharmaceutical. The Indian regulatory agency, that is CDSCO, really deserves an appreciation for introducing this category. The introduction was done through an amendment to the Drug and Cosmetic Rules 1945 in 2015. By definition, it includes a standardized fraction from a medicinal plant containing at least four bioactives intended for internal or external use for medicinal purposes. The requirement is to characterize this fraction using modern analytical techniques. The data requirements are as per the Schedule Y. That means the herbal products can be approved through the modern drug regulatory framework. A full dossier is required, including preclinical studies, clinical trials, and quality, safety, and efficacy evaluations. Identification of bioactives and comprehensive analytical methods are emphasized in this pathway to maintain batch to batch consistency. The advantage of this route is that a new therapeutic indication can be claimed for products designed using plants. The comparison of the phytopharmaceutical pathway of CDSCO to the botanical pathway of USFDA is difficult at this stage, as there is no example of the products approved through this route in India. But as can be observed from the currently marketed products, the industry is generally preferring the food supplement or Ayush pathway for herbal products in India, as these routes are comparatively simpler and requires less extensive data. However, I would strongly recommend opting for the full regulatory pathway in cases where the product demonstrates significant therapeutic value. Let's carry out a quick comparison of the pathways available for approval of herbal products in India. What do we see here? We see that different regulatory agencies govern these three different pathways, namely CDSCO, state agencies or Ayush, and FSSAI. The amount of evidence required greatly varies with the pathway. Where the phytopharmaceutical pathway demands full clinical trials, the food needs no evidence at all. The quality standards also varies. There is a difference in the claims that can be allowed for each of this pathway. Here we can compare THMP pathway of EMA with the Ayurvedic proprietary medicine pathway of India. However, there is one common requirement for all these pathways, which is approval is required for all. The products cannot be marketed without the pre-approval. Having summed up the pathways for Indian market, we have reached at the end of our discussion. Now, before going to case studies, I would like to summarize the available regulatory pathways in the three selected markets. We find that In US, there are only two pathways available for the herbal products, and these are claim driven, out of which the industry mostly prefer dietary supplement pathways as it is easier to market the products. As the limitation of this pathway is that disease related claims cannot be made on the label, the manufacturer compensates for it by making creative advertisements tactfully through which the benefit in a disease is implied. The European Union offers pathways based upon the classification of products. This classification is done based on availability of data to support the indication. The quality part is appropriately dealt, giving the due consideration to the natural origin of such products. Both Europe and India have high regard for the natural products. Therefore, both offers a specialized pathways for herbal products. The Ayush or Ayurvedic proprietary medicine pathway is for all the herbal products which are already mentioned in classical text of Ayurvedic, Unani, Siddha or homeopathic systems of medicines. And like USFDA, a phytopharmaceutical pathway is available for approving the new unique plant based product that has been proved to be beneficial in clinical trial. Now, the question is for your new product, which pathway should you choose? The selection of regulatory strategy for your product will depend upon four factors. Number one is claim strength. If the claims are not tested in clinical trials, then I would suggest it is better to use the dietary or food supplement pathway. Second is evidence availability. If the uses of product has been proven in clinical trials, then it is better to obtain a medicinal status for the product. Third factor is time and budget available. If you have sufficient time and a good budget, then it is possible to work for getting the medicine status for the product and one should strive for it. Fourth is desired medical positioning. A strong medical positioning gives a product longer market life. Less resources and efforts are required in advertising as it is the credibility that drives acceptance. This is guarantee for return on investment. So I would suggest to go for food supplement or dietary supplement pathway if the timelines are very narrow and resources are less. And I would suggest to go for the medicine status for your herbal product if you have strong confidence in its efficacy and safety. I believe this example will give you more clarity on how to choose regulatory pathway for your new product. In our laboratory, we have developed an oral gel containing guava leaf extract, pumpkin extract, and chamomile oil. And the indication for this product is treatment of recurrent aphthous stomatitis. Now, we do have animal and human study data for this product available with us. Therefore, for the US market, we would like to use botanical drug pathway and we would also like to seek approval in the OTC category for this product. Uh, for Europe market, we would like to use traditional herbal medicine pathway. It seems to be a better choice as all these ingredients have a history of safe use in Europe and there is also published data available for its non-clinical and clinical studies. In India, like all other manufacturers of herbal products, we would also like to follow Ayurvedic proprietary medicine pathway. We have one more product developed in our lab that contains bio-enhanced curcumin and bio-enhanced bacopa extract in capsule form. We have done its preclinical studies for efficacy and safety in animals, but considering the amount and nature of data available, it seems we can use dietary supplement pathway in US. Although we are aware that we will not get to use our claim for it. Our claim is treatment of dementia. Instead, we will have to write promotes brain function or similar statements. For getting approval in Europe, we are studying the available clinical study data on these ingredients and if sufficient data seems to be available, we will opt for well-established use pathway or else traditional herbal medicine pathway is also available. For Indian market, as the formulation is novel, our first choice will be Ayurvedic proprietary medicine pathway. Otherwise, food supplement pathway is also available for this product. So in this way, we can uh, identify the appropriate regulatory pathways for our research-based herbal products. I see that this has become very lengthy discussion, but believe me, I have just given the overview of this topic. If you are interested in more details about the regulations in any of these countries or in any other country, please write me in the comment box. I will plan for that too. I have very much enjoyed making this video. I hope you enjoyed it too and found it useful. I would look forward to your comments and suggestions. Till then, thank you very much. Namaste.